Hello, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday night live, where it gives you the opportunity to meet and talk with our leadership team here at a Hundredfold. And this evening we have Rashi joining us. Hey, Rashi.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, so thanks for joining. So the Hundredfold Journey is about a group of people who are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. Our objective here is to come alongside of you, provide the tools and resources for you on your spiritual journey, wherever that might take you. And Wednesday Night Live is just one way of us being able to do that. It gives you the opportunity to either ask questions for us live or hear this recording later. So we've been on a roll here at the end of every given month. Rashi and I have been kind of reviewing the last month's challenge. So if you remember, March was March mindfulness. April is April affirmations. Now we're heading to the end of April here. We just have a couple more days. So we're going to review our favorite April affirmations. And then at the end of this video, I'll do a little plug. You won't want to miss what we're going to do in May, but I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do it. You'll have to watch this video and I'll share that with you at the end. But May is going to be an amazing, not sure if it's really a challenge, more of an encouragement to kind of help you along your spiritual journey. So enough about that. So Rashi, again, thanks for joining. And we have ahead of time identified what our favorite um, affirmations are for the month of April. So without further ado, I will go ahead and share my screen, and then we will share those affirmations. So here's our advertisement for Leadership Live, and I really like this picture. And Rashi, was this one that you picked out? I can't remember, but
I'm not quite sure.
yeah, several months ago. But I really like it because it actually has a video where this person is walking down this pathway, and she's walking into the sunlight, and it just kind of shows that the journey that she's on, and she's lit up by the light, and I really like that. So again, that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to join you on your journey and provide you with the tools and resources. Yeah. All right, so Rashi, you've got the first one, day 4, so take it away.
I had many favorites. I mean, it was hard to choose the top three, but yeah. My first choice was day four, and it is all my needs are constantly met. So God has granted you everything you need and want to live and thrive. You must believe in this and have faith in that you have it all. You just need to become aware of the abundance around you. Be in gratitude, and you will have more reasons to be grateful for. Enjoy. So the reason this was my favorite um, is because essentially, I've just from personal experience, I was always chasing something, right? A lot of us are just chasing something constantly. We need this next thing, we need the next iPhone, we need the next, other gadgets, or we need the next new car or something. There's always something that we strive for. And um, I just felt like maybe, at least for myself, I can speak for myself. I never took a moment to realize that I already have everything that I need, right, in order to succeed and in order to function at my best, at my highest potential.
Now, what do you
And
mean you have everything already? So you've got a Rolls Royce, you've got a mansion, you've got $10 million in the bank.
no, definitely not that extensive, but just enough to
So
lead a
what?
happy,
But what do you
healthy
mean
life.
by you already have everything?
I have everything to basically, like I'm saying, like just function at my best potential, right? Like just to be happy and content. I don't need to, you know, go to the travel to a certain place to find happiness, for example, or I don't need to identify myself in materialistic things like cars and gadgets and things like that. That it's more of an internal happiness, and it's more of a kind of, right. It's just becoming aware that you are everything that you always wanted to be. You already are everything that you always wanted to be, and that
Yes.
you have everything to be happy. You know,
Yes.
whether it's, again, it's just internal, right? We don't, I just, my whole identity has changed. Before, my identity was in other people, you know, and or other things as well. Like, I've gone through phases in life. We always, well, I tend to identify in other things and other people, and now I feel like all of that has changed ever since I have, you know, come across the Bible, and come across Christ, and come across
Mhm.
just this whole fundamental knowledge of universal oneness, and just this beautiful relationship building with God, you know, every single day, strengthening that relationship. And I think now it's, my identity is with God. I identify myself with God. I don't identify myself with anything earthly anymore necessarily. And so that's why this meant a lot to me, because I already, ever since I've formed a relationship with God, already have everything. All my needs are constantly met. You know, I don't need to chase.
Because you're pulling from the inside, not from the outside. Because
Exactly.
I deliberately chose kind of fancy things, you know, a
Yes.
castle, Rolls Royce, $10 million. Because there's a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, there's some people that have that yet
Yeah.
aren't happy at all, right?
No.
They're never satisfied. And that's because internally they're not satisfied with who they are. So, as you
Exactly.
described, right, you go and you look out, you look for that validation through other people or
Yes.
even through things. But all of that is like a mask that covers up what's on the inside. And that's, you're missing, you're lacking. Um, and I think that's where you've come to the understanding or realization that you do have everything in you because you have God. And who is God again? Oh, that's right. He created all this, heavens, the stars, and you know the hairs on your hand and your eyeball. I mean, He's
Yes.
got everything in His hands. So what do we have to be fearful about? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, the other thing on this, Rashi, is, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning. So the first part of April, we actually started with the 10 truths. And we've communicated the 10 truths in many different ways, but there are 10 truths that are true for us as they were for Jesus. And one of them is, I'm always at the right place at the right time, unlimited possibilities and resources. And this one, all of my needs are constantly met. So if we look at the life of Jesus, was everything that he needed provided? And the answer is yes. Was he always in the right place at the right time? Yes. So that's kind of how we came up with those truths, and and that's how this one came about. That all my needs are constantly met. Yep.
It's
All right.
wonderful.
Very good. Thank you, Rashi.
Thank you.
So so mine was day 22. I am listening. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And this actually has to do with this book interview that we did with Aaron Worley, One Truth, One Law, I Am, I Create. And this book really pointed out that God, who lives in us, who is us, is always talking to us. And being a Christian for 30 years, I always knew that. It's like, okay, yeah, God's going to talk to me. But I always thought it was like just on the big stuff, right? It's all right. But he's always talking to us, always guiding, always directing. So day 22, the phrase "I am listening" is my sheep hear my voice, and I'm responsible for listening and really paying attention to that voice and guiding and directing. And one of them could be day 4. All my needs are constantly met. When I go out and I try to strive to get things with my own hand, and I'm not being led by the shepherd, by God, who's leading me and directing me in the paths. Instead, I say, oh, I want that. And then I go veer off this way, even though he's not telling me, he's not leading me, he's not directing me in that direction. I feel that I want that. So I go reach out with my own hand. Um, and what I'm suggesting is that we need to rest and know that we don't need to reach out with our own hand. We can rest and know that that need will always be met. So
Exactly.
affirming today that you have the voice of God in you, guiding you, directing you, inspiring you every moment of every day. It is not occasionally or every once in a while. He is always talking. We just need to listen and follow. Sometimes the directions might seem strange or not make sense, but if you allow the 10 truths, right, always in the right place at the right time, God has granted me favor in the sight of those around me, etc., etc. But if we allow the 10 truths to help you follow the breadcrumb trail, you will hear his voice clearer each time. His guidance is always from a position of love, loving you completely and loving others completely. So what was interesting about this is day 22 was that was a Thursday, and what was interesting about that was um, when I posted this, a person saw that, and it was a confirmation to them that God was talking to them about doing something. And my statement there, which again, this is just me typing it, sometimes the direction might seem strange and not make sense. That made perfect sense to them, that that was God speaking to them, that they had to take action on something. And the post on this specific day was the perfect time for them to hear that. So
Wow.
anyways, it's just amazing how God works all of that. The very day that I presented this was the day that person needed to hear this message.
Wow.
That's how God works. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a
Exactly.
miracle. How does he do that? All right. Next one, Rashi.
Beautiful. So day 18, I am a life-giving spirit. 1 Corinthians 15:45. But the last Adam has become a life-giving spirit. You are not in Adam, but in Christ. You have God's spirit in you, which is life, not death. A life-giving spirit gives life, builds others up, loves everyone. Live out of who you already are. Um, I love this day and this affirmation specifically because again, just being a life-giving spirit, I think once you know how that feels, you don't want to
That's
go
right.
back to
Sorry, Rashi. You got two young boys. No problem.
yes, and they just, have to peek in once in a while.
Yes.
So again, yeah, just being a life-giving spirit again, it's this um state of being, right? All that you're in. And once you're in that state of being, you don't want to go back to any other or change to any other kind of state of being because you feel like once you're giving all of this energy, essentially that's what it is, right? You're
Yep.
giving the spirit, you're exuding the spirit that is within you, right? Because all of a
Yep.
sudden it's alive and you're aware of it and you have this great connection with your spirit, and it's totally, it just comes out uh, in your walk, in the way that you carry yourself, all of that. So it's kind of like a whole new identity, whole new persona. That's the way I look at it. At least for
Mm-hmm.
me, that's how it's been. Because before, I used to think of myself as definitely as a giver, but a giver in other ways. Like, I would feel like I'm maybe doing too much for people or being taken advantage of, or something, along those lines, like where I always felt like I was giving, but I wanted to receive. And now it's like for me, when I kind of understood this concept of being a life-giving spirit and being one with Christ, it's not about receiving anymore,
Mm-hmm.
it's just about giving, and it's
Yeah.
just whether I receive it or not, it's a gift. Then I accept that as a gift, but I don't expect it, right?
Right.
It's changed that expectation where if I'm a giver, then I'm a giver unconditionally, just like God is with us, right? He's a giver. He doesn't ask for anything, right?
Right.
And the least he asks us to do is just be in love, like, love others, love your neighbor, love yourself, love God. It's all about love. There's nothing else, nothing materialistic that he expects, or
Mm-hmm.
no kind of like, he's not a condemning God, as like a lot of people, have
That's right.
been raised to believe or think that, he's an authoritarian, if you don't do this, then you don't belong, and you're going to go to this place or this place. And so it's not that way at all, right? And once you kind of understand just this whole encompassing concept, it's a really beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful exchange,
Mhm.
and natural. It's genuine,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
coming
just
from an overflow, right? Because
yes,
you're full, therefore you can
exactly.
overflow into other people's lives.
Yes, yes. And then once you're in that state of being, like I was saying, and you become more aware of what you're attracting and what you're surrounding yourself with, and you start noticing more of the positive aspects of your life, right? And you
Yeah.
notice like the people that are like just positively influencing you, or just you're just going to sense a lot of positivity. And again, we're magnets, right? Whatever we basically create for ourselves, right? Our thoughts create, and whatever we create for ourselves essentially will then attract similar situations, similar
Yep.
circumstances, similar people, similar thinking people. Doug, you and I always talk about how we're so like-minded, and you know, that maybe the fact that we're on the same frequency, we think similarly, and we have a strong maybe telepathic communication. I don't know. It's like,
Same vibration,
yeah,
same
it's the
level.
same.
Yep.
Yes, it's very interesting. And again, once you're in that, you don't want to go back to anything else. You want to keep exploring that a little bit more each day.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's just the very fact that you've been given this, you've been filled so that you can bless others. And just the fact that you're able to do that is a blessing. It's just,
Yeah,
so as you say, you just want to continually do it.
exactly. Yeah, it's almost like you get hooked on the feeling,
Yeah, there you go. Hey,
right? Of
that should
just
be a
being,
song.
yeah,
Hooked on it.
that's exactly it.
All right, very good. Day 18, love it. Day 20, you are a divine partaker of the divine nature. So this is actually a verse, two verses that I'm memorizing right now. 2 Peter 1, 3, and 4. And basically the summary of it, it's kind of a long verse, but it says, God has given you everything needed for life and godliness through his promises so that you can partake in the divine nature. So if you let that sink in for just a second, God has given you everything needed for life and godliness. Is there anything more that we need except a good life and a godly life? And godly meaning, just a wholesome, feel good, life giving spirit. That's what it's talking about. And the way we can do that is through the promises. And the promises, and here's a plug for Sundays with Doug. If you join us there, we talk about promise verses. I just shared this last Sunday. There were 14 of them.
Wow.
Promises about you being holy and righteous and chosen before the foundation of the world. We're his temple. Um, just multiple things, and these are promises that says this is how God views you. Do you agree with that? And if you do, then you are partaking of the divine nature. Basically, he's saying is that, Rashi, you're divine
Wow.
because you agree with what God says about you. And divine means you are godly, which means you are God. And what I'm suggesting here is yes, we are God. We're not the God, but we are God because God is in us. We're his temple. And here it's telling us we are partaking in the divine. These aren't my words. This is Second Peter. Peter, the apostle of Jesus, said this about us. So I'm choosing to believe these truths and these promises for myself. And there's no turning back. So God has done everything on our behalf to make us God on earth now, today. He wants us to rule and reign and has given us everything we need. This is what faith is, believing in something not with our physical eyes. Because a lot of times I can look at myself in the mirror and say, Doug, you blew it, man. Where's that faith you talk about all the time? I don't, where's, you pull your eyelid down, where's Jesus in there? I don't see him in there. But that's not what we look with. We look with spiritual eyes. So what I'm suggesting is agree with God, you are divine. Just get over it. You're God. I know that's crazy to hear. And sometimes I say it and I still have to, but it's the truth. So just accept it and now live from that knowing that you are a partaker of the divine nature. And I really like this picture, and Rashi, again, just amazing work on that. The idea there is that you being God are experiencing your creation through my eyes. So even though I'm Doug and I look at this picture and let's just say it's a real flower, God is experiencing seeing that flower, smelling the flower, touching the flower. And if you look with those pair of eyes, it just gives you a whole different purpose and meaning in life. It's like it just makes it exciting and fun. You mean God's talking right now to Rashi on Wednesday Night Live? Yes, he is. He's doing it through us.
He's experiencing this with us.
Experiencing this
Every
in
way.
us, through us, with us, as us.
Wow. I really like that analogy you shared once about, saying that we are God, you are God, I am God. But the analogy of the ocean, if you don't
Ah,
mind sharing
yes.
that again, like, you can take a droplet. Please go ahead, Doug. I don't want to.
No, so the analogy is you've got the ocean, right? And the ocean is vast. It's like massive. That's like God, right? He just goes on forever. But you take a drop out of that, and let's just, take a little cylinder out and you put it in a glass. Is the water not the ocean?
Right.
Yeah, it's the ocean. It's not the ocean, but it's part of the ocean. The ocean is inside here, just like it's out there, but it just happens to be in this container. And we are that container of God. So, God, the massive expanse of the universe, the creator of all things, he decided to put, if you will, a drop in me. And does that make me any less God? No, because that drop is part of the ocean, part of God, and it's in me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
That's just phenomenal to
Good
think of it
stuff.
that way, right? Yes,
Say
definitely.
again.
And just to think of it that way,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, we're all each having an experience, an individual, unique experience. And yeah, it's just amazing to think of it that way, that we're a vessel and that we're worthy and we're divine. Like, look at
Yes.
these words that are being used, right? It's not, where's the condemnation? There's no condemning of anything.
Right.
There's no, do this, and do this. There's none of that. They're just, again, they're affirming, or God is affirming to us that we are God, we are divine, we are partaker of the divine nature,
Yes.
that nature is divine, right? And we're his creation. And I just,
And the
it's,
third word there, the first word over here was given.
yes,
And to your point, right? It's not like we worked for it. Ephesians 2, 8, 9, shoot, now I can't remember. It's by grace you've been saved through faith, not of works, lest any man should boast. So it's not works. There's nothing I did to get this. So if you're listening to me and you're, and I'm not saying you, Rashi, but whoever's listening to me, if they're saying, Doug, you're crazy, you can't tell me that you're God. And I'm saying it was given to me. I didn't ask for it. I didn't work for it. He gave it to me. And if he gave it to me, then why wouldn't I want to take that? No, you need fear and condemnation and you need to work for, you need to obey the 10 commandments and blah, 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 whatever. And what God is telling me is, no, it's been given to me. So I don't know. I'm choosing the easy path because it's the easy one. It's just take it and rest.
yes, which is
And then,
essentially the path of love. Go ahead,
and
sorry.
then out of that, we become that life-giving spirit. We become this person, which then can overflow into other people's lives and be a life-giving spirit,
Exactly.
right? If you don't think that this is you, then you're coming from a place of emptiness. You're
Mm.
coming from a place of, well, I need to do this in order to deserve it. I need to be a life-giving spirit or else God won't bless me. No, 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 no. It's not that at all. It's we are already blessed and we're living out of that blessing.
All our needs are constantly met. I feel like
All right.
it's
I think we
how
just talked. I think we just talked ourselves happy. What do you think?
we did. We definitely did. And it's interesting how we chose our days separately, but they all kind of have a similar message and a similar.
They sure
So
do.
that's very interesting.
They sure do. All right. Next one.
So day 21, you are God's temple, and that God's spirit dwells in you. 1 Corinthians 3:16. So you are God's temple. Yesterday we affirmed that you are divine. Today, affirm to yourself that you are divine because God himself dwells within you. He decided long ago that he did not want to dwell in a building made with hands, a tabernacle, but wanted to dwell within everyone. The very presence of God is in you, living his life through you as you. You are a walking, talking, moving temple. Everywhere you go, God is there because he is in you. Um, and again, this is just continuing on what we were talking about just right now, earlier, a few minutes ago. Same thing. We know we're a vessel, we're a dwelling place of God. We are a temple. All my life I would hear, take care of your body. Your body's a temple. Your body's a temple. I was like, how can that be? What does that even mean? You know, but never until absolutely, just very recently since I joined Bible study. And, right off the bat, we were in that, Karen was doing that tabernacle
Yep.
presentation.
Yep.
That was it. I mean, forever, my life has changed or was changed at that moment.
Isn't that
And
crazy that the
yeah,
thing that you thought about a lot during your childhood, the
yes,
very first day that you joined or decided to attend our group, we
right.
were talking about the tabernacle and the temple and furniture of the temple. So it
Yeah.
just amazing how that worked out.
Yeah, it
So it's a
fascinated.
miracle. It's a miracle.
Yes, it's a miracle. It is a miracle. Yes. Yeah. So again, I was just fascinated by that because I had never seen it or understood it in that way. And so now, and again, before it was all about like not taking care of myself, not taking care of my body. And now it's all about that. Now it's like,
Yes.
I have to keep it, healthy and keep my mind clear and, just keep God's spirit happy within me. Right. Because if the spirit's not happy, then all of thisness, it just doesn't matter. Right. And
Not sure
so
what
it's,
you mean by that. Keeping the spirit happy. How do we do that?
um, well, first of all, becoming aware of it, right? Again, it starts with awareness as always, and just knowing that there is that spirit within you, that there is something within you that is bigger than your physical self, right?
Right.
And is all knowing. And and then once you become aware, it's then starting to build that relationship, that connection, strengthening that connection with that spirit, right? So it's whether it's through prayer, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through just closing your eyes and having a conversation with that spirit and like the I am, having a conversation with your inner voice. And yeah, just seeing the God's creation, just the miracles he performs in our lives every day. I think becoming more in connection and strengthening that connection with the spirit really
Right.
makes the external reality just that much more beautiful too,
Right.
because you're able to see things that are playing out in your life that are really for your good, whether it's a negative experience or it's, whether it's a positive experience. It's all working around you and working for you rather than against you.
And that's Gary Buckman,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So Gary Buckman is an interview that we did in May and Broken to Brilliant.
Yes.
And it was him turning his life around after being paralyzed at age 20. He basically healed himself. So one of his comments in that interview in May, and if you haven't seen that, please go into the100foldjourney.com, go into the interview section and you can see that there. But what he says is that life happens for you, not to you. So Rashi, to your point, excellent is we can now view negative things, what we perceive as negative, as being positive because it's happening for us. It's teaching us something about ourselves.
Yes, exactly. And maybe also how to better make better decisions. I mean, there's just there's a plethora of reasons why these situations play out in our life. And um, a movie that I really love, I know this may be going a little bit off tangent, but like Slumdog Millionaire. I don't know if you've
Right.
seen
Yeah.
it, but I just love that movie because of the way that it was, structured, like just the way that the story played out and all these events that happened in that character's life in the end eventually worked out in his favor. Because if he hadn't had all these, a lot of them were negative
A lot of
experiences.
them
And if he
negative.
hadn't
Yeah.
had, right, if he hadn't had those, then he wouldn't have become that millionaire, become a contestant and then become,
Yeah.
so it's just, that's one story. But, and we all have this similar story, like we all have events that have happened in our life. And yeah, sometimes, we look back and we're like, oh, I wish we could go back and change that. I wish, there are a lot of regrets, there's a lot of guilt, but uh in the end, we come to find out that it's all for our best, and it works out in our favor in the end.
Yeah.
And the best thing that we can do is, again, just take care of this body. It's a temple, right? We want to make sure that God is having a good experience through us. And when we are connected, when we have that strong connection with God, it's just that love, right?
That's really a good, I hadn't heard that phrase before. Making sure that God is having a good experience. Did you say through us or with us or
Yeah, with
as
us.
us? Or
Yeah, with us. Yeah, all of the above. I mean, I literally,
that's,
some days I'll have a conversation. I'm like, okay, what do you want to experience today? Like, did you like that? Or like, I'll
that's,
have this, this like conversation.
I
I mean,
really, really like that. I'm going to have to write that one down.
okay,
I'm going to have to steal
great.
that one from you.
Go ahead, no worries.
Because when you think about it, wanting to have God have a good experience is, you know, obviously he's willing to do whatever, right? He's
Yeah,
never going to judge us and leave us regardless of what that experience would be.
yes,
But for us to have the mindset, mindfulness
yes,
of being healthy, I would think that God would have a better time in my life if I wasn't health issues that I caused on my own, right? And I'll just an example, like smoking cigarettes, right? You
sure.
smoke cigarettes and then you get lung cancer, and then you got it. Like my grandpa, he had one lung removed, and you know that's not the optimal life, right? Um, Again, God's still going to be with that person, and he was still with my grandfather, but it wasn't the optimal, right? He that's not what he wants for us. He wants optimal health. And to your point, when you started, is to think of ourselves as that temple and taking good care of that temple. And
Mm.
now to add on top of that, let's give God a great experience through me. That just adds a whole level of, that's awesome. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I felt like, there's, first of all, we're worthy. He chose each one
Yeah,
of us to have this experience, right? We're each
exactly.
like little droplets of him, and
Yeah,
he's experiencing this beautiful physical world, earth, with us. And and again, he's a giver, right? He's not, or he doesn't ask for anything. So I just feel like this is the least that I could do, right? In return, is to just make sure that he's having a good time in this vessel, right? In this temple, that this temple is healthy and whole and happy, right? To host a good, happy spirit.
yes. All right, I wrote that down, so
Okay,
that's good. So
awesome.
I'm gonna quote you. I'll give you the credit on that one. All right,
No worries, you could take
that's
it.
great. All right, I think we're on the last one.
Awesome.
So this is day 26, and the verse is, "He is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or think." So what I
Wow.
put here is, "I am heard," right? So he hears not only what I'm saying, but also what I'm thinking. And I'll just read it. God listens to my words and my thoughts. Number one, God is able. Number two, God does it without measure. Number three, God does more. And number four, God does it all. So when you break this verse down, right, if you kind of put your hand over immeasurably more than all we ask or think, just the fact that he's able to do what we ask or think. I mean, that's cool. All right, God, you are able, right? I might not be able, but you're able.
Mm-hmm.
But then you add the word immeasurably. Basically, what that means is without measure. So if we ask for 100, he's going to give us 1,000. There's no measure. It's like, who cares? It's without measure. So he is able to do immeasurably all that I ask or think. But then you add more than. So he's able to do it. Measure doesn't matter. He'll give it to you abundantly and more than all we ask. So it's just like, does it get any better than that? I mean, it's like, I don't know. So that's what God says is that he is able to do it and loves to do it and wants to give us more than we ask or think. But then the question is God really that good? Come on, Doug. I mean, you're smoking something if you think you're going to ask for something and he's going to give you more, immeasurably more than what you asked for. And what I'm saying is, it's not me; it's God's the one that's saying this. So the answer is, he that good? And I want to answer yes, he is, so that I can reap this promise, because this is a promise. And there's many out there that say, no, God's not that good. I'm not worthy. I'm not really a temple. I'm not a life-giving spirit. And what I'm saying is, yes, I am. And all I have to do is rest and receive it and ask him for these things. And this is his answer. So he takes what we think we want and gives us much more. This is because of whose we are, right? It's not because of who I am. I'm a good guy. I'm a bad guy. It's because of whose we are, and we are a child of his. You are God's child, and you inherit everything that is his. Affirm this to yourself today. So I've got one story behind this one. Is I've had this verse memorized for a while, and I'm taking God up on his word. So I actually, before we moved into the house we're in now, I was asking for a house, and I was doing a visual of what I wanted, and I was thinking about it so that he would, whatever I ask or think, he would grant it to me. And the house that I wanted was like up on a hill, and it had a view, and I kind of had it visually where I wanted to be. And man, I really wanted it. And I thought, okay, God, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then we ended up getting the house we're in now. And the house I'm in now is immeasurably more than
Wow.
all I thought or asked for. That other house was like, who cares? This house is like amazing. And I never would have thought of this. I mean, obviously I thought something like it, or else, but it was immeasurably more than what I asked for.
Wow.
And so this is a perfect example. It was a miracle how that came about. And
That's
just
amazing.
another miracle. They just keep coming.
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to share with you guys on this day. Was I am heard. He listens to me, and he gives it to me, not because of who I am, but because of whose I am. I belong to him.
Belong to him. Yes.
All right,
And
Rashi, that was it. Do you have anything else you want to share before we close up?
yeah, just quickly, I was just thinking, again, going back to just being in connection with the spirit, and, that spirit is a higher, right? A higher self, a higher being that knows more than what we could ever fathom. So again, and that's God's spirit. So this verse goes perfectly with that, because it's more than what we could even imagine, right? What the knowledge that it holds, and the experience it has, and the plan that God has for all of us too. There's a bigger picture.
Exactly.
And once we connect with that spirit, connect with God, then we're able to see the bigger pictures for ourselves as well.
Yes.
And I kind of think of it also like this world is is a spiritual battle. You know, there's the good and the bad, right? And being in relation, this is what I feel, because there was a period of time where I had a relationship with God, but not, it was very inconsistent. There was nothing that I was doing each day to kind of strengthen it, or, you know, get in connection with it. And then there was a period where I didn't believe in God at all, you know.
Mhm.
And now that I have this faith, and I have this, just this knowing that,
Mhm.
you know, it's an everlasting, unconditional, you know, just pure love. And it's just, again, it's like that spiritual battle. It's like, you know, on the playground when kids get into a fight or something, right? It's like having a really strong good guy on your side,
Mhm.
right? In a spiritual battle, it's just like having a really good, strong spiritual entity on your side, you know, rather
Mhm.
than someone that's weaker, kind of like the bad guy or something like that.
Right.
I don't know, just
Right.
I had this vision, this picture in my head, but maybe I didn't share it the right way. But essentially, that's what I'm trying to say. You know,
Well,
this.
it's like I know you've been watching the Avengers and Marvel, and
Yes, yes,
having the superhero, Captain America, in you, if you will,
yes,
or on your team, right, and be able to battle the bad guys.
exactly. Yeah, just that extra strength, you know, the extra spiritual strength, and that all knowing. I mean, again, divine nature. You know, just the creation and
Yeah.
everything is just amazing.
Yeah. All right, fantastic. All right, Rashi. Well, thanks so much for your time. And for those that stayed with us to the end of this video, so our announcement for May in regards to our challenge is we're calling it Miraculous May. And what we mean by that is we are going to be interviewing 100-fold members, not the leadership team, because we've heard from them. We're going to be reaching out to the members of 100-fold and listen to the miracles that have come about in their lives. And the biggest miracle of all is just a life that's been changed, right? And Rashi called it a little bit, right? From darkness to light, from being held bondage in the world system, if you will, and knowing that there's a higher power, God in us, that has overcome the world. In fact, He set us free from the world. We're going to be talking to individuals. We're going to be sharing that on Facebook. So be looking for Miraculous May, starting, basically May 1st. And we will be sharing those stories. In fact, every Monday, we will have a video, and we're calling it Miracle Monday. So be looking for that on Mondays. And we would love to hear from you in regards to, hey, this was fantastic. I'd like to share my story. So if you want to reach out to us on Facebook through a post, or you can reach out to us on our website at the100foldjourney.com. And there's a link there that you can email us. Our email is 100foldjourney@gmail.com. So you can always email us as well. But we'd love to hear from you. And if anything, just to hear that, yes, I was encouraged by a given message. So be looking for that in May. So I think that wraps it up for tonight. So Rashi, thanks again for your time. And that's it for our Wednesday Night Live.
Good
All
night,
right, we'll see you.
everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.